All right, we're back and we are with retired police chief Randy Sparacino, and he's come to talk to us a little bit. And we've heard an awful lot of good things about you over the years. Followed your career a little bit, and how many years with Medford Police Department?
So with the city of Medford, totally, I was with the city for 30 years. I was with the police department a little over 29. I started at the police department as a volunteer, as an Explorer Scout, and I volunteered to serve subpoenas when I think I was right around 20, and I went from being the Explorer Scout to a bike cadet to a CSO, patrol officer, all the way up.
I love that. My family was pretty into Boy Scouts when I was a kid, and it's a good setting, definitely. What was your favorite part of policing? I know you did a lot of administrative stuff, which is really, really important for getting into political office, and you're running for office. But what did you like?
I think my favorite assignment when I was a police officer was sergeant. I think sergeant is probably one of the best positions on the department, because you basically are still out with the guys, and I use the term guys androgynously. You're out there with the group.
Uh-huh.
You're interacting, but you also have that ability to be an effective leader, a mentor, a guide, the person that just can really affect the department as well as the individual. So it's that really overarching position that really covers a lot of things. So I really enjoyed being a sergeant.
Still a lot of connectivity with the citizens in that role as well, right? Yeah. But you are running for mayor. You're interested in being mayor after that long of a term of service to this area, and mayor in a town this size, approaching 80,000 people in Medford. That's a big mayor job as compared to me growing up in a town of 3,500 people and living in one that maybe has 9,000 people or whatever that is now. What makes you want to be mayor? You've already served your time, man, and that's a lot of stress.
Well, yeah, and to me it was like a natural segue. I really love the city of Medford, and as I was preparing to retire, as a police officer, you have the benefit of retiring at a relatively younger age, and I really wanted to give back to the city. I mean, the city of Medford provided for my family and myself for almost 30 years, or for 30 years, and it really was, this love for the city that I wanted to provide a give back, and I felt that the variety of unique experiences that I had as a police officer, a chief of police, that I was the chief policy advisor for several months, working for the city manager's office. All those things that I've done, I felt like really prepared me for this position, and I got a lot of encouragement from other members of the community and other political folks within the community that said, you've got the right leadership and the right temperament and the right background. We think you'd be a fantastic mayor. And so that encouragement really kind of put it over the top.
We hadn't met before. You probably heard of Skinner Group, and we definitely read about you, knew about you. And one of the reasons I wanted to reach out for you may have something to do with those things that people encouraged you to run for office for. But most guys, gals, if you ask lots of people about them, you're going to find a couple of people that are annoyed at, why does everybody like you, man? It seems like you've treated people really well, and the citizens need to be treated well. And from a political role, that's more important than ever now.
Well, I think for me, one of the things that I really strive to do as a leader in our organization was to be respectful and to encourage my subordinates to be part of solutions, part of the ideas, part of the collaboration. One of my tenets as chief was to be collaborative. And good ideas can come from anywhere. And I've been saying that within my campaign. I mean, that is something that I believe in as a mayor, that the city has a lot of unique individuals, and good ideas can come from any individual within our community. And as mayor, I'm going to be that advocate for the citizens. I want the citizens to feel like I'm an approachable mayor, that they can come to me and say, hey, I have an idea for this particular issue or that particular issue, and not every idea is a great idea, but every idea can have a piece or a component to a great idea.
Yeah, definitely. It definitely seems like if people brought a couple potential solutions with their complaints, that becomes an idea to act on in some way, even if it's some extrapolation of it that no longer fits. But pe- people want to be heard, definitely.
And that's a thing. I've heard that routinely throughout my campaign, is that one of the concerns that the citizens have is feeling like they're being heard, feeling like they're being responded to. You know, that when you call your elected official, you'd like or expect some type of communication back, and that's one of the things that I want to ensure happens.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, that's one of the things we're doing here. Jared and I are around each other sometimes, and I'm definitely around Addison sometimes, but we're wearing masks today, and that's unusual for a podcast. But we have Randy that's running for office, and we don't want to potentially elect a mayor that's going to be sick. We don't want to pass anything around, and because of a podcast and filming on a certain kind of camera and meeting we have to sit a little bit closer together. So if I happen to cough, I don't want that to be your problem later.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
It's generally awkward, probably for you and us and everybody else to wear cameras or wear masks this late at night. But for the camera, definitely awkward, and for the audience too.
Now, Chief, when you being the chief of police and serving the city of Medford in a law enforcement capacity, how do you see the difference in leading as a mayor and leading as a chief?
I think leadership experience is universal, and as a leader, if you have the right characteristics and the right leadership qualities, those leadership qualities are across the board. And as the retired chief of police, I did a lot of things to ensure that my leadership was engaging with my subordinates, and I would do the same thing as the mayor. Also, I had a lot of different experiences. I was on numerous different committees, state and locally. I was also a member of the RCC Board of Education, and I'm out at the Jackson County Airport Advisory Committee. So I have a pretty broad base of experience. Not to go Liam Neeson or anything on Taken, but I do have I do have a unique set of skills that I bring to the position, and I think that well-rounded pocket of skills is going to be very advantageous to be the mayor.
What are some of the things that, as coming in and possibly becoming the mayor, what's your focus for Medford?
Okay, so one of the issues and we kind of touched on it a little bit earlier, that I've been hearing quite frequently is wanting to be heard as a citizen. And as mayor, I want to engage and be an advocate for the citizens. I want to be also an advocate for the city. I want to make sure that the citizens feel like they're being heard, and when they have issues, those issues are being heard. I want to make sure that our processes are being followed, and I also want to make sure that if there's areas where we can improve upon a process, we're working to improve the process. I think the good organizations are always learning organizations, and they're always constantly improving to be better. So those are some of the things that I'd like to work on. I also want to see the mayor's position as an advocate for the city, and also an advocate for the city not just locally or regionally, but also at the state level and at the federal level. Those are things that I did as chief of police. There are also things that I did as the chief policy advisor. So I can see doing those types of things to improve our place in the state. I want people to look upon the city of Medford as a city that all the other cities in the state of Oregon aspire to be.
Yeah,
that's outstanding.
Love that.
And granted, there are good ideas from other cities, and we can take from there, but we want the other cities to look at us and say, those are great ideas that are coming out of Medford. Medford's a great place to be. Medford's a great place to live. And that's what I want this to be. I want Medford to be the best place to live and raise your family, a multi-generational city that's safe and everybody wants to be part of us. And I think we're capable of doing that.
It is a great city. I mean, really, we have to report on crime and things like that. You had to chase criminals in your career and do the books to be able to cover the costs of actually chasing criminals and providing public safety and response to important things when people are having a hard time in their life, possibly. But I mean, I love living here, and I moved here from someplace else about 30 years ago. my kids all want to stay here. One kid moved away and taught school in Salem, and her husband moved back here to have their family, and they bought a house in Medford because it is a good place in the surrounding communities. This is our county seat. I live in Talent. You live not in Medford
Central
proper,
yeah.
right? And I want to be proud of this county seat in all respects. And I like the attitude that it's something to listen to people, find ideas, and become. That's just it. Become a city that other cities look up to and call with questions about how we got that done.
Yeah, and I agree with you. This is a great city. We have a great foundation, and we can just expand upon that and make it even better. My son is similar to your experience. My son moved away to go to college, worked up in the Portland area for a little while, and then reality hit him, and he said, "I don't want to be up here," and he came back to Medford.
Yeah.
So I think that this is the place that I want that to happen all the time. I want people to raise their kids here, their kids go to school here, their kids go to college here, and then their kids raise their family here. A multi-generational area, and it's a beautiful location. We've got fantastic people. Southern Oregon has some of the best people in the state, and this is just a great place to live.
Yeah, I agree with that. My son Addison, he runs the Roadcaster laptop tech, helps set the things up. And Addison, you've kind of always told me you wanted to stay in this area. Is that still the case at over 21 years old?
Oh yeah, that's definitely correct. I love the area, everything about it. Especially Medford's actually probably one of my favorite cities in the area.
Yeah.
This Medford Central Point area is definitely where I want to be when I get a house. Definitely.
Yeah. Awesome.
Right on. Randy, what kind of stuff do you like to do for hobbies?
Well, believe it or not, I like to fish. I probably don't look like the king fisherman, but I grew up around fishing. My father is the king fisherman.
Uh-huh.
He was a guide. He ties his own flies. He was the mentor for me for growing up, not just in fishing but also in life. So I look up to my father quite a bit, and fishing is one of my things. Another thing I like to do is golf.
Yeah.
And I like to spend a lot of time with my family and my wife. I have a great family, and I love doing stuff in Southern Oregon. We've got a lot of great things to do. We have wineries and hiking and fishing and golfing, and my son plays softball, so I get to watch him playing softball over at US Cellular Park, which is another fantastic piece of
what a resource.
Yeah, it's excellent. It's just another thing that brings people here.
Brings people to town, brings finances to town
Exactly.
for different businesses and things like that. Families where it's at for sure, and there's not a weekend or a day off or an evening that goes by if you want to find something to do in this area, even during COVID, really, because we have a great blessing of the great outdoors around here. Even if you wanted to go to the coast, it's just not very far. You can do anything: mountains, skiing. I grew up skiing, Mount Shasta and Mount Ashland and those kind of things, and fishing family, hunting family, those kind of things. Love that kind of stuff, and I think that's a pretty popular thing that's always been here, and it just grows and grows with the vineyards and those kind of things. Lots of fun stuff. Jared coaches wrestling. That's one of his gigs.
Yeah, that's my thing. But Chief, I wanted to let you know that I have, in the position that I'm in, I speak to a lot of your old officers, and I have not heard one bad thing about you.
That's very humbling. Thank you.
Your officers often express to me the respect that they had for you, and that you made that department a family-oriented police department where there was a sense of family there. And I know that when you were on your way out, there was a lot of sad officers that didn't want to see you go. And I think the city of Medford would be truly blessed to have you as their mayor.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
So,
I think not just well qualified, but overqualified when it comes to relating to the public. I think that's going to be a good thing, and you've had a career of doing that already and protecting the public, and this is just a different thing. So I wish I lived in Medford. I'd give you my vote, but I'm glad we could talk about you a little bit and learn more about you for sure, and I'm happy to meet you in person. I think one thing that might be fun is we'll probably need to sign off because we have a little bit more of a show to do from the first stuff we started on. I think Jared and I should step away with just our earphones, and so that we can get 6 feet away. Maybe you can pull down your mask, and it's hard when people can't see a face and things like that. And and sign off for us.
All right, thank you.
And feel free to say anything you'd like.
Thank you guys, thank you for having me. I really appreciate the fact that you were able to have me in a different venue as opposed to some of the other interviews. This is more of an opportunity for the citizens to get to know Randy Sparacino as the person rather than Randy Sparacino as the candidate. And I mean, we did touch on some of the topics, and that's good because it's important that people know where I'm coming from as a candidate and understand, where I come from so that they can vote accordingly. But I like the idea that they were able to see me as a person, because a lot of times it's very important that people understand that there's a person behind those positions, a person behind chief of police or a person behind the mayor. And you also don't just vote for the qualifications, you also vote for the person. So I really appreciate the time, and thank you very much. And those of you out there in Medford land, please vote for me. It's coming quick. Be sure you check out your voter's pamphlet, understand the qualifications of your candidates that you're looking at, and choose wisely and turn your ballots in on November 3rd. Thank you very much.
Get out there and vote, folks, and Randy Sparacino for mayor. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.